Hello everyone, welcome to Hopeful Moments 1. Today, we're going to hear a story that reflects an issue of disrespect and how some people feel entitled to demand others serve them without knowing how to behave properly. Today's story will take you through a surprising situation. Instead of reacting with anger or frustration, the narrator kept calm, even using humor and cleverness. The narrator's reaction, especially when faced with a woman who made an unreasonable request for help in a store, completely flipped expectations. Instead of apologizing or yielding, the narrator responded sharply, stood firm, and even made the woman realize her rudeness. If you find this story interesting and filled with meaningful lessons, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more valuable lessons. I was shopping at Target, a store not too crowded at the time, and I couldn't help but notice a woman who seemed quite unpleasant. I was wearing a blue shirt and athletic pants, completely not the typical outfit people would expect when entering the store, like the red and khaki uniform. My description of my outfit not only describes my appearance but also reflects how I carry myself as an ordinary customer, not someone working there. It's almost as if I wanted to emphasize that I am just a regular shopper, not an employee at the store. When I entered the store, the atmosphere was calm and quiet, with only a few people wandering the aisles. But then, everything suddenly changed when this woman appeared. She didn't just say something rude, but did so in a very abrupt way, immediately disrupting the peaceful space. "Excuse me." It was a greeting, but it lacked the minimum respect I deserved. Therefore, I had no reason to respond to her, especially since I hadn't done anything wrong. As she approached and pushed my cart down the aisle, this was clearly an invasion of my personal space. She demanded that I do something immediately. "Get that box for me right now." An unreasonable request, and even something quite rude. I simply refused because I wasn't there to do her work. Although I'm not very tall, I'm always happy to help those who ask politely, but her attitude made me feel insulted, and I had no desire to fulfill her request. When she began to criticize me, saying I was just wandering around pretending to be busy, I felt a sense of relief. At that point, I decided to respond, but not with anger or stress. Instead, I calmly said to her, "Of course. I have to get all my shopping done while I'm here. I can't leave without everything I need." My response wasn't just a sharp retort, but also conveyed a sense of confidence and control. She continued to shout at me, saying, "Listen here, young lady, you're not going to get away with talking to me like that." A clearly condescending statement. However, I didn't let myself be dragged into those words. Instead, I calmly replied, even with a hint of sarcasm, that if she had an issue, she could go talk to my manager. This statement cleverly reinforced that I wasn't an employee of the store and had no obligation to serve her. When she found a manager and pointed at me to explain the situation, I could sense the surprise and amusement from this scenario. Instead of acting confused or anxious, I remained firm, not only because I knew I hadn't done anything wrong but also because I wanted her to understand that she couldn't easily take advantage of my respect. When the manager said that I was also a customer, she still didn't apologize but kept trying to justify her actions. My response was still calm and sharp. "The offer still stands. Go outside and find my manager and tell them everything. Megan, the manager's name, is not my boss." This wasn't just a rebuttal, it was also a firm assertion of my rights. I don't have to tolerate rudeness, and I will not let anyone misuse my respect, no matter who they are. I was really proud of myself for how I handled the situation. Honestly, I don't always manage to control my emotions, especially when encountering rude and disrespectful people like this. In the past, I tended to react overly, sometimes even rudely, and after each such moment, I would regret it. I would blame myself for not staying calm, often reflecting on how I could handle things more gracefully in the future. Those feelings of regret made me realize that sometimes the best way to handle a situation is not to react immediately but to pause, breathe, and think about my actions. But this time was different. I was more aware of my emotions, and my calmness made her angrier than ever. At that moment, I didn't let her rudeness affect my mood. On the contrary, I felt I could stand firm and respond calmly without being swept up in emotions. When I was calm, I was able to maintain control and not let her steer the conversation. And this, perhaps, made her feel defeated. She wanted to make me angry or react rudely, but I didn't. Instead, I held my ground and responded politely, gently but firmly. This made me feel really proud of myself because I didn't let my emotions take over. In the past, I would easily lose my composure and react impulsively, but this time I had learned to be patient and handle the situation more intelligently. I realized I could remain confident without needing to express anger or rudeness to defend myself. My calmness was the most powerful weapon, and I don't regret how I handled that situation. This action not only brought me pride for controlling my emotions but also helped me understand myself better. I proved to myself that I can overcome challenges without losing respect for others, even if they don't treat me properly. Maintaining calm in stressful situations like this doesn't just help me avoid unwanted consequences, it also makes me feel stronger and more mature. I didn't just win in that situation, I won over myself, as I was able to control my emotions and choose to respond intelligently rather than being dragged into someone else's rudeness and disrespect. In fact, this calmness not only made me feel better about myself, but it also made me realize an important thing: you don't always have to react or respond strongly to show power. Sometimes, silence and composure are the greatest ways to show strength because they make the other person feel like they can't control you. And that's the real victory. This story made me think a lot afterward. I live in a tourist area where most people are easygoing, respectful of each other, and enjoying their vacations. However, like anywhere, there's always a small group of people who are disconnected, that is, those who don't realize they are not the center of the universe. These people think everyone around them exists solely to serve them. And although this phenomenon is not specific to tourist areas, in that moment, I felt it was particularly clear and unpleasant. The story happened when I went to the grocery outlet near my house just to buy some batteries. It was a quick trip, nothing special. I just wanted to grab what I needed and get out. While I was looking at the batteries, I noticed a woman walk past 3 store employees, come up to me, and yell because she couldn't find the ladle. This really surprised and annoyed me, because this store isn't a place that specializes in small items like ladles. Sometimes they have them, sometimes they don't. It's normal in stores like this, but maybe she didn't understand that. Her yelling made me feel offended, but instead of getting angry or overreacting, I just responded with a brief and surprised question: "Do you think I work here?" She seemed not to believe what she had just done, so she tried to pretend she didn't understand what I was saying and turned around to walk away. However, I didn't stop there and continued asking, "No, I want to know what about me made you think I was here just to shop?" This question wasn't just to criticize but also a way for me to clear up her misunderstanding. She walked away immediately after hearing that question, looking embarrassed and realizing she had done something wrong. Later, while I was waiting to check out, I received a call from my partner. I told him about the situation that had just occurred while she and her family were standing behind me in line. During the phone conversation, I said something I thought many people could relate to: these people are ridiculous when they yell at others, they really think anyone there should serve them. We should encourage the staff to be rude back to them because these people can't be polite, they just jump in and give orders without saying please, thank you, or hello. I said that and continued the call, feeling quite upset about her behavior. The conversation with my partner ended, and I continued checking out, then turned back to look at her family. At that point, I saw her mother still trying to find the ladle, so I decided to go back and say, "If you still can't find the ladle, it's right there." I pointed to the aisle. This was one of the only 2 grocery stores in the area, so I was very familiar with the layout. I just wanted to help with no other intention. However, the mother's reaction was not what I expected. She just shrugged, and the husband only smiled awkwardly and said, "Oh, it's fine, it's not important, don't worry." I couldn't help but respond, "Really? It seems like life and death with the way you asked." At that moment, I felt a little annoyed by their response, but I didn't regret it. This story made me think about how people treat each other in society today. Especially when some people have a disrespectful attitude and treat those around them as mere tools to fulfill their needs. Of course, I didn't intend to be rude, but I think that when dealing with disrespectful people, the best way to handle it is not to overreact but to stay calm and maintain respect for oneself. In the end, I realize there's no reason why anyone should approach others, especially employees, in a rude and disrespectful manner. I understand that showing self-respect not only helps me stay calm in difficult situations but also helps others realize they can't treat others however they want without facing the consequences of their actions. The third time I went shopping at Ulta, a well-known cosmetics store where I expected to find my favorite beauty products. However, this time something quite interesting happened. I began to notice a woman following me down each aisle in the store. The feeling was not the usual curiosity, but more like being watched, an uncomfortable kind of observation. Eventually, she came close and, as a bare minimum of politeness, spoke up, "Excuse me, but I need help finding, insert product name here." Her question was clearly a request for help, but I immediately realized that she wasn't just looking for assistance, she was also someone who expected to be served. Although I was just a customer like her, I still responded with politeness and cheer. "I don't work here, but I'd be happy to help you find it." This was one of those situations where I noticed the lack of awareness in some people's attitudes, assuming that anyone present in the store must be an employee and obligated to help them. She, perhaps out of embarrassment or discomfort from realizing the misunderstanding, responded awkwardly, "Sure, maybe when I find someone who works here." I couldn't help but wonder if she realized that asking for help without any sign of respect toward others was unreasonable. But I didn't want to make a big deal out of it, so I continued acting patiently and without any rudeness. We continued walking down a few aisles in the store, and during that time, the conversation between her and me became more friendly. We talked about our favorite skincare products, sharing experiences and reviews of the creams or serums we had tried. The conversation naturally turned into a small connection between the two of us, despite her initially thinking I was an employee of the store. In fact, this made me realize something important. The issue wasn't asking for help or the misunderstanding about me working there, but rather how she asked for assistance. In this situation, the way she started the conversation was very different from those who have a respectful and polite attitude. Her failure to respect others in the store and her impatience in requesting help was a sign of disrespect. This made me think of some people who believe that the job of service workers is to serve them and that they can ask for help from anyone without having to show politeness or courtesy. Since I also work in the service industry, I fully understand the feeling of being treated like a tool for service, and I support a movement where it's not necessarily about being rude to customers, but about reflecting their behavior to regain control. This means that if someone asks for help in a rude or impolite manner, I don't have to respond with aggression, but I can treat them similarly to make them understand that their behavior is not acceptable. Responding calmly and patiently is a way to take away their power, making them realize that they can't continue acting that way without facing an appropriate response from others. I don't mind if someone speaks rudely to me or lacks courtesy, but the important thing is not to let such disrespectful actions affect how I treat others. Every individual has the right to be respected and to receive basic politeness in all situations. Therefore, when I face rude behavior, I choose to remain calm, not react negatively, and see it as an opportunity to demonstrate my self-respect. From these experiences, I learned that the way people ask for help can make a huge difference in their relationship with others. We can't change everyone, but we can decide how we treat them and uphold our values. From the situations I've been through, I realize that how we communicate and ask for help can have a significant impact on our relationships with others. Although in life, we cannot control other people's behavior, we can certainly choose how we react and treat them. Maintaining patience, politeness, and respect is the best way to protect our self-worth while creating a healthy communication environment. The lesson I've learned is, in every situation, whether being treated rudely or disrespectfully, we should not let our emotions take control and react negatively. Instead, reflect that behavior with calmness and friendliness, to help the other person realize the shortcomings in their actions without adding to the tension. Respect and fairness will help us maintain healthy relationships with others, and more importantly, help us preserve our self-esteem in any circumstance.